part 2, verse 4. Now it slides back to the Babylonian destruction for just a second. Quote, the ways of Zion mourn, because there are none that come to the feast. All her gates are ruined, her priests groan, her virgins are led captive, and she is in bitterness in herself. Now it switches back to us. Listen up. Her oppressors, with an S, are become the head, comma, and her enemies, with an S, have prospered. For the Lord have afflicted her because of the multitude of her sins. Her young children are gone into captivity before the face of the oppressor. Stop. Bingo. So as you can plainly hear, by it saying, quote, her oppressors, with an S, are become the head, comma, and her enemies have prospered, it can only mean we indeed have Israeli Esau enemies getting rich off of us. And as you can clearly hear, the new perfidious oppressors who gain power in between oppressors, colored civil rights leadership, quote, are become the head. Now allow me to ask you a question, gentle strangers. When you heard it say, quote, her young children are gone into captivity before the face of the oppressor, what did you perceive? Who, me? Well, seeing a person's face is considered the front of a person, and if someone was chasing after you, they would see the back of you. To me, that can only mean our current oppressors were in America before we arrived and basically greeted us with their face. I know this understanding is correct because the very next video subject proves this understanding is correct. But as far as this video is concerned, I know this is correct because of what the scripture says next. Verse 6, quote, and all her beauty, which is wisdom, understanding, laws, statutes, ordinances, feast days, has been taken away from the daughter of Zion. Her prince were as rams finding no pasture, and are gone away in weakness before the face of the pursuer. Stop. Psalms 83 gang bingo. Again, do you see the beauty in how my God worded this? I mean, how can they be a pursuer and we come before their face unless they were already here setting things up and waiting on us to arrive? Again, my God's will, I will prove this beyond a shadow of a doubt in the very next video subject. But let's continue for more clues, shall we? Now it flips back to Aliba after the Roman destruction, but towards the present day. Verse 7, quote, Jerusalem remembered the days of her affliction, past tense, and her rejection. She thought on all her desirable things which were from the days of old, when her people fell into the hands of the oppressor. Psalms 83 game, comma, and there was none to help her. That rules out Babylon. When her enemies saw it, they laughed at her habitation. Stop. Bingo. Again, our enemies didn't laugh at our habitation during the Babylonian destruction because they were trying to seize the habitation for themselves at that time. Hence, why it took so long to rebuild the God-forsaken Second Temple. Besides, everybody knew our ancestors were only going to be gone for 70 years, so this joyish description does not fit the situation. Now here's where some of you Broncos start long bucking me, while the other stallions start to short buck me. See, here's where it starts talking about the Israelis and the chosen in the wilderness at the same time. it's going to sound like it's talking about other dispensations, but the proof of our perception is towards the end. I will let the beat rock until we get to a place where it's undeniable. Okay, verse 8. Quote, Jerusalem, Oliva, has sinned a great sin. Therefore has she come into tribulation. Present action verb. All that used to honor her have afflicted her, for they have seen her shame. Yea, she herself groaned and turned backwards. Man, for the first time, a chick has shame. Listen up. Her uncleanliness is before her feet. Present tense. She remembered not her last end. Didn't remember the Roman destruction. She has lowered her boasting tone. There is none to comfort her. Now Oliva speaks. Behold, O Lord, my affliction, for the enemy has magnified himself. Now Jeremiah speaks. The oppressor, the Israeli Messiah, has stretched out his hand on all her desirable things. Now it talks about our sanctuary of strength in the wilderness. For she has seen the Gentiles enter into her sanctuary, concerning whom thou, my God, didn't command that they should not enter into thy congregation. Stop. Before your doubt demons convince you it's talking about the third temple for the Israelis, remember, 1, the Israelis' Messiah is supposed to have seeds come from him that will come into our wilderness sanctuary. 2, the Babylonians, Romans, and upcoming Assyrians destroyed the temple. Damn, just entering it. Which leads me to 3, the only congregation different from a sanctuary. The only congregation my God will care about is the chosen in the wilderness. So in essence, who cares what happens to the Israeli sanctuary or congregation? Well, let's continue for more clues as Jeremiah continues to talk about Jerusalem's monster and giant's future, Oliva, and how she, being a custodian of the land, has currently adopted Israelis as her own. I know you're going to think this is talking about a previous destruction, but hold tight because the truth is towards the end. Verse 11, quote, all her people groan, seeking bread. They have given their desirable things for me, to restore their soul. Behold, Lord, and look, for she is become dishonored. Now Oliva speaks about an event the world has never seen before. Quote, all ye that pass by the way, turn and see if there is sorrow like to my sorrow, which has happened to me. The Lord who spoke by me has afflicted me in the day of his fierce anger. Future tense, listen up. He has sent fire from his lofty habitation. He has brought it into my bones. He has, present action verb, spread a net for my feet. He has turned me back. He has made me desolate and mourning all the day. Stop. Bronco busting bingo. Why bronco busting bingo, you ponder? Well, it's for the other scriptures that attest my God will rain down fire from heaven in the end days. You know, quote, in the day of his fierce anger, which can only mean, as far as this passage talking about the Israelis and the wilderness chosen, I'm right about it so far. But let's continue for more clues as Oliva continues to lament. Shall we?